may have accomplished the American dream depending on your perspective. But I have a confession to make. I am not American. I am one of the 11.7 million undocumented immigrants that are currently in this country. I am one of the 800,000 dreamers protected under the DACA program. And I had no idea that growing up undocumented would come with challenges, fears, and disappointments. When I was 9 years old, 19 years ago, my parents made a sacrifice to leave their home country of Peru to go in the search of the American dream. We came here legally through a visa, but then we became undocumented immigrants when we overstayed it. Now I am what Congress calls a dreamer, a person who was brought here as a kid and is currently undocumented. When I was 16 years old, I go to the DMV, and it was my turn to get my driver's license, just like all of my friends. I go there and I give them all the documents that I thought were required, but they told me that without showing that I was legal, I couldn't get it. It was then that I knew my life would be different than my friends. I graduated third in my high school class and got into Florida State University. However, because of my undocumented status, I couldn't qualify for any student loans or financial aid. I won thousands of dollars in scholarships, but most were taken back because I wasn't undocumented. I had enough money to pay for college for 1 year, but I had to figure out a way to pay the remaining years. So after volunteering at a nonprofit, they decided to hire me. And as I was going through the hiring process, I get a call and they said that due to my immigration status, I couldn't work. So at the age of 19, I found myself and had the grim realization that not only can I not drive or get student loans, but now I can't get a job anywhere. But I didn't let that stop me. I remember what my father told me, that the US is the land of opportunity, but it is up to us to find it. So after doing a lot of research, I found out that undocumented immigrants can create their own LLCs. So isn't that interesting? Uncle Sam wouldn't let me pay taxes as an employee, but would happily let me pay taxes as a business owner. So I created my own LLC and began working as an IT contractor. It was the summer of 2011, and at this point I was doing some websites and I had set up an appointment with a small business in Tallahassee. The appointment was about 4 miles away from where I lived, and at that point my bike was my only mode of transportation. So I put a suit and a towel in my backpack and I ride my bike to the business. By the time I got there, this is Florida, it's super hot, I was drenched in sweat. But I parked my bike in the back of the building, dry off with a towel, change into my suit, walk to the building to meet my client. After a successful meeting, walk to the back of the building again, change back into my sweaty gym clothes, and ride my bike back home. This is what life is like when you are undocumented. You have to go above and beyond to achieve your goals. And instead of seeing obstacles, I saw opportunities, and I decided that making excuses wasn't an option. And then in June 2012, President Obama introduced the DACA program, and it stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It will grant dreamers like me, who came under the age of 16, that graduated high school and have a clean criminal record, the opportunity to get a driver's license and a work permit. It also shielded us from deportation. And I couldn't believe it because I was 22 years old at this time, and I was finally going to be able to do what all my friends were doing. That was driving and working. And one of the opportunities that I got when this executive order came was that I got the opportunity to apply for jobs, finally, as I was graduating. One of the companies was GM, the car company. And they, during the interview, because of my experience and a recommendation of the dean, they hired me right on the spot. And I told them that according to my attorney, I will be getting my documents in about 3 months, right as I was graduating. So after the interview ended, I picked up the phone to call my parents to let them know that I will be moving to Austin, Texas, and will be working as a software developer. And let me tell you, that was one of the best calls that I've ever made, because I felt like I was finally accomplishing something and making progress on my American dream, and I was making my parents proud. And on December 14th, 2012, I graduated from Florida State University in the top 1% of my graduating class with 2 bachelor's degrees in less than 4 years and with 0 student debt. Wow. And that gave me the opportunity to finally be making progress on what I wanted to accomplish. Now, after I graduated, December was ending, and I am still waiting for my paperwork from immigration. I'm supposed to move to Austin in a couple of weeks, and I literally have nothing. At this point, I'm confused, frustrated, anxious. I remember thinking, how am I going to move to Austin where I don't know anybody? I still can't drive and don't even have a guaranteed job yet. But I took a leap of faith, and I moved to Austin anyway. I figured if I had overcome all of these obstacles, it was just going to be a matter of time until I find a solution. Because I have the mindset that if the door of opportunity is closed, I go through the window. And in late January 2013, General Motors, upper level at General Motors, decided that they would hire my company so that I could work as a contractor while waiting for my paperwork from immigration. Now, the funny thing is that even though I was working for a car company, I still had to ride my bike to and from work. But a few months, I did get my paperwork, and I finally became a full-time employee, and finally got the opportunity to test out these cars, and began working, and I got the privilege to sit and wait at the DMV for over 2 hours just to get my driver's license. So it takes a long time. I changed careers in 2015 and decided to open up my own real estate team with a business partner. And now, as many of you, I help families achieve their dreams of home ownership. We hire painters, plumbers, electricians, and we now have a full-time office manager. So as a DACA recipient, I'm also creating jobs for other Americans. But on September 5th, 2017, the current administration rescinded the DACA program. And I felt devastated. But I was even more frustrated at what the then General Attorney said. He said that DACA denied jobs for hundreds of thousands of Americans by allowing those same jobs to go to illegal aliens. And this couldn't be more wrong, because for me, all the opportunities and everything that I have done has been from the pursuit of becoming a better person. And those companies, the nonprofits, GM, and the other small businesses, they hired me for my potential. So that same day, I wrote a post and shared my story on Facebook, just like I'm doing now, and explained that I have been contributing to this country just like all other Americans, and shared a picture of the taxes that I paid in 2016 of over $28,000. Now, that post went viral, and when something goes viral, you get people that support you, but you also get the haters. So I got a lot of people saying how my story inspired them to achieve their goals, to not give up despite the obstacles. But I also got people saying that I was still illegal after all my accomplishments, that I should be deported back to Peru, and that if I was so smart, why didn't I get in line for my citizenship? But instead of getting mad or irritated, I did my best to educate those people, to let them know that there is no way for us to get in line because the line doesn't exist. And by sharing a picture of the taxes that I paid, I also shared that we are not freeloaders, as many of them think. So after a little while, that same week, this post that went viral got me on Fox News Austin, and it was an interview of me sharing my story. And from there, it got picked up by Forbes, Entrepreneur.com, some Spanish channels, CNN Money, BuzzFeed, Reuters, a lot of other ones. And for me, it was a great opportunity because now I get the privilege to share my story and inspire others. And there is a nonprofit led by Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. And I get a call one day, and I've been following that organization for a long time. And I get a call, and they said that they want to invite me to fly to DC to meet with congressmen and share my story with them. So I go over there, and they picked 100 dreamers out of the whole United States, and I got to meet with them, tell them that I am an asset to this country, share my story and how they can write some policy so that Congress can take some action. And while I'm there, they were doing a quick video about me, and I get another call, and they said, Diego, we would love to feature you in a press conference with a couple of the congressmen. I was like, great. And they said, do you have a presentation ready? I'm like, no, you just told me about this a minute ago. So we worked together and throughout the night, and I was able to give a press conference with Carlos Corbello and Representative Dan Newhouse from Washington. And I was able to share my story with cameras all around me and some microphones. So it was an incredible experience. And what I've been doing is I wrote that post and shared my story to show the opportunities that DACA gave me, just like it has given the other DACA recipients that we have today. Because each of us has a unique story. And I believe that my dreams are not dependent on the lack of papers that I have. And a lot of the things that I've been able to accomplish has been by the mindset that I have, similar to what Gary was talking about earlier. Mindset is super important. And one of the quotes that I followed is by Al Elrod. He said, focus on your vision, not your current circumstances. And by following that quote, I realized that a lot of my life has been putting emphasis on my goals and not deciding that whatever challenges I have, that they're gonna be a stopping point to what I want to achieve. There's another quote by Hal Elrod who says, pursue your life, he said, be happy with the life that you have as you build the life of your dreams. And no matter what the obstacles, the challenges that I've been through, it's always been being very grateful for the opportunities that I've had and having the mindset and not taking the victim mentality, but the empowered mentality. This is something that I learned from Tony Robbins. He says that the power is the power of the questions that you ask yourself. So no matter what situations you may be facing in your life, if you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? You automatically take the victim mentality and begin to blame others for your current situation. But if you ask yourself, why is this happening for me? You begin to get creative and you get to be more resourceful in finding a solution for that problem. So remember, the power of questions can change drastically your life. And in 2014, and talking about masterminds, and this is why I love coming to events like this, because it's in the power of connecting with like-minded individuals where your life is shaped. In 2014, I got the opportunity to join or to be part of this mastermind group called Go Abundance, and there's a couple of members here. The interesting thing was that as I heard about this mastermind group through a podcast that was for realtors, and it was called Super Agents Live. I heard this podcast, and in an interview with a guy named Pat Hyman, which maybe you guys have heard, I follow him on Twitter, and after a few tweets here and there, he sends me another tweet, and he tells me, Diego, I have a podcast too, where I interview agents. And because I was becoming a realtor while working at General Motors, I was like, this is great, I'm just gonna hear every podcast that he has. So I tweeted at him every single time, and I'm like, hey Pat, this is what I learned, this is what I learned. And I was 23 years old at this time. And I sent him a message, and I'm like, Pat, you mentioned Go Abundance in one of your podcasts. What is it? And he tells me it's a mastermind for millionaires who are trying to achieve, who want to be held accountable, achieve financial freedom, and have an epic life. And he said, you have to be a millionaire. And I was like, I want in. and I wasn't even a millionaire yet, and I'm still not now. But I reached out to them on a website, and I share a little bit about my story. And 2 weeks later, I get a call from a guy named Tim Rode, and he tells me that if I go to this event, I'll be hanging out with 15 millionaires. It was going to be $2,000, so I put it on a credit card, and I fly there. By the time that I got there, and everybody's introducing each other, everybody's sharing how they got connected and what their net worth is, and we have guys from like 1 million to 40 million in the room. And when they come to me, I'm like, my name is Diego, I'm 23 years old, and my net worth is 25K. And they were like, who the heck let this kid in? And after a weekend, I got to share a little bit of my story and to let them know, it's like, hey, I highly believe what Jim Rohn says, that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So I know where I'm going, I just need to have a little bit of the coaching and the mentorship. And that is what happened. In 2014, at this event, it was in August, at the end of the event, they pull me out to the side and they tell me, Diego, we created GoBundance for millionaires, but we want to help you become a millionaire too. We don't know where this program is going, but you're going to be our first apprentice. Are you down? And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm in. Whatever you tell me to do, I did it. And that's what I did. For the next 6 months, everything that they told me to do, to go to Tony Robbins, to take a speech class, and to just read the books and everything, I just did, and I showed up every single time. And when I say that mastermind groups can change your life, and it's all about the conversations that you have with the peers in the mastermind group, I was 23, I turned 24 at that event, and I knew that my life was going to change from there. And 2 weeks later, I was flying on the private plane of Osborne, and my mind completely changed, because I went from just being a software developer at General Motors and not having any mentors or anything like that, to having met this group of individuals that were going to be my mentors. And for the past 4 years, I've been able to hang around and fly and have conversations in early mornings, go attend events till really late at night, and be able to learn and be a fly on the wall of all of these highly successful individuals. And for the past 4 years, what I want to share with you now is like the 6 things that I've learned from them that have changed their lives and things that they have applied so that they can be the person that they are today. And one of the main things for me about why I joined a mastermind is that you get to learn from experience from others. And instead of taking me 10 years to get to where I am now, it took me 2 or 3 years by leveraging their experience. And that is super powerful. So the 6 key areas of becoming the person that achieves financial freedom. I believe that similar to what this quote says, that success starts on the inside first, then shows up on the outside. So I definitely believe that you first, before you get financial freedom, which is something that we're probably all here and what we want, first you become the person that achieves financial freedom. And that starts with number 1, personal development. Jim Rohn says that success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become. So I highly believe in what Gary was saying of constant and never-ending improvement. This is something that just because we finished high school and finished college, and that's where we read the textbooks and all these books, that you are always a student of life. And this is something that I've learned from all of these millionaires that I've been surrounding myself with. They still invest $10,000, $15,000, even like $60,000 to invest in the mastermind groups to continue growing. And the best part for me has been seeing their growth as well. So personal development is super important. And the good thing about this is now there's Audible books. So while you're driving, like I'm a realtor, so I'm driving in my car almost all day. So I have books that I'm reading, YouTube videos that I'm hearing. So it's always, you can literally have access to all these amazing books like Think and Grow Rich right at your fingertips. One of the books that I read when I was 21 that changed my mindset on everything, was Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 21 years old. And that book um, showed me two things, that you can either trade your time for money, making active income, or you can make your money work for you and make passive income. But you cannot know the difference in how much is coming in and how much is coming out if you do not master your personal finances. And that is number two, because you need to be aware of how much income you have and what your expenses are, so that you can know exactly how much you have left to invest at the end of the year. And by managing that and being aware of that, you can make decisions for what you want to achieve. Like, do you really want to have a Hulu account, an HBO account, and a Netflix account? Maybe yes, that's great, but if you don't, you know, okay, which one do I want to choose? And being aware of that is what will allow you to know and make the decisions in your life to take you to the next level. Number three, and this is super important again, and this is where my life changed, is being part of my tribe and a mentor. And that's why I highly believe what Gary's doing here for you guys, for all of us, is very important, because we can be part of a group where we are held to a different standard, right? If we go back to our other friends and we tell them, hey, I just paid this much to join this mastermind group, they're gonna think you might be crazy. But in your tribe, like when I paid $2,000 to be part of this group, my friends were telling me, or to attend this event, they were telling me, Diego, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that, to spend time with people you don't even know? And I was like, dude, you spent $2,000 to buy your 4K TV, and you're gonna be spending money on that, where my priorities are different. So by being part of a peer group like this, you begin to change the actions that you take in your life. And they hold you to a different standard so that you can take different actions and then be able to achieve what you want to achieve, because then it becomes common. One of the things that I learned from a guy named Ty Lopez, he has a lot of YouTube videos, and I was actually at his house, which is in Hollywood last year, and he said that there's nobody that's self-made. So even these guys over here, and like Gary and stuff, we are like, really, if you take a look at all the successful people, there's nobody that's self-made. They always have another who. So the question that I want to ask you guys is, who is the next who in your life that you will meet? For example, Steve Jobs, he created Apple with Steve Wozniak. Elon Musk, he has Tesla, Solar City, and other companies. But without Peter Thiel, he wouldn't have been able to gain all his success at PayPal. So there's always that who. And Ty Lopez was saying that you need to focus on putting yourself in situations where you can meet the next who in your life once a quarter. And maybe the next who is right here in this room. And one of the things that I learned is that the quality of your life is in direct proportion of the quality of your peer group. And this is why connecting with like-minded people can change your future. And number four is goal setting with accountability. And this is something that we went over this morning, where you write down your vision, you write down the goal setting, where you plan everything out, you write it down, and then the key thing is to be held accountable. And this is something that's why Gary has the monthly meetings, is so that people can share what they're doing, and then by the next meeting you can say, hey, this is what I did, and I took action, and this worked, and this didn't work. But at least instead of creating excuses, you do whatever it takes, because you don't want to be the guy or the girl that says, hey, I didn't do it. And it might be okay one time, but when you do it consistently, you're just going to fall off the tribe, and then you're just going to be like anybody else. But by holding you accountable, that will change your life. Number five is increasing your income. And increasing your income, for me, it gave me the opportunity to be creative, to just think of different ways to make money. Now, this was something that I've seen in creating different types of income streams. So for example, I used to be a software developer with GM, but in the weekends, I also did websites for small businesses, and then I became a realtor. And so that gave me a little bit more income so that I could invest that in the future. And number 6 is investing. Now the key thing here that you can see is that first we worked on 5 other things, and then finally is investing. But a lot of people just want to buy a property or they want to make $1 million, but if they don't have the right mindset, then they will lose it. Because the thing is, like, there will be challenges in everybody's lives. And if you don't have the right mindset, you will just create excuses and just walk away from it instead of pushing through. So with investing, right now, as I mentioned earlier, right now I'm at the point where I own 13 properties for a total of 13 doors. 13 properties for a total of 19 doors. Now, what gave me the opportunity to do this was a strategy called house hacking. And house hacking, for me, to give you guys an example, is where you buy a single family home and you rent out the rooms to roommates while you live there, or you can buy a duplex, triplex, or quadplex, and you can rent out the sides while you live in one of them. The benefit of that is that you can buy a property with an owner-occupant loan. And most of you guys are realtors, so you guys can see that being able to buy property with an owner-occupant loan, I literally bought this house when I was 24 years old by putting down 5%. It was in Austin, Texas, and my mortgage was $1,350. I was renting out each room for $550, so I was making a total of $1,650, and I was living for free. So since the age of 24, I've been living for free, and those extra $300 paid for my car payment. And because I didn't get the privilege to get into student debt, right? Because I didn't get that opportunity, which now is a blessing in disguise. But before that, I was like, I'm working my butt off. But now it's a blessing in disguise, and that allowed me to put money into other properties. And now my portfolio includes 2 properties. So with house hacking, really quick, the best part about this is that you can get another owner-occupant loan once a year or every 2 years. So you can buy your first house FHA, and then you can get your second house a year later or 2 years later, putting 5% conventional, and you can do it again for a maximum of 4 loans, the most conventional way. But once you can use that low money down and keep that as an investment property and do it again. So in a matter of 5-6 years, you can own 4 different properties using low money down. And it is a great way to be able to create some passive income on the side. Now what I did is I bought this property, and then a year or 2 years later I bought another one, and I put somebody in the master. And now I was cash flowing around $800 to $1,000 a month off of this property, or maybe more, like $1,200, which is really, like, not many people can say that they do that in Austin. Austin has been booming. But it was a great opportunity, and now it has given me more cash flow to continue investing. So with that, right now I own 6 doors that I'm doing Airbnb in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I own 2 properties in Austin now where I'm doing house hacking. And I also own some properties in Jacksonville, Florida, where I've been buying more in C areas, and that's my long-term buy and hold. So house hacking in Austin, Airbnbs in Gatlinburg because of the vacation rentals, and then I'm doing long-term buy and hold in Jacksonville, Florida. And it has been an incredible journey. I've learned a lot. But by always being part of mastermind groups, I get to learn and share my successes, but also share my failures. And that is what's been giving me the opportunity to continue to push. And the interesting thing too is that investing became very common in my vocabulary with people in my mastermind group rather than my friends out in my work. Right, so now our conversations change. So instead of going to happy hour and complaining about our lives, when I came to this peer group, it was more like, hey, what's your passive income now? What is your passive income now, right? And we focus on becoming 100 percenter. And sorry, I've been stuttering since I was 5 years old, so I've been working on my speaking as well. So if I stutter, I stutter.
You're doing great.
Yeah, so being 100%, I always stutter in P's or T's or something. Anyway, so 100%er, there's a formula, and I didn't put it here, but the formula is your passive income divided by your monthly expenses. And then you times that by 100, and that will be that will give you a percent. So for example, if your passive income is $500 a month, and your monthly expenses are $5,000, but 500 divided by 5,000 is 10. Well, it's 0.1. So if you times it by 100, it's 10. So you're a 10%. So a lot of people think that becoming financially free is impossible, but that is because they don't really track their numbers and they don't really know what their goal is. Because for some people, it's like, oh, I will never be able to leave my job. But if you're only spending $5,000 a month or $10,000, whatever it is, you just need to focus on every year just working on that 10%, working on that 10%. And that's why.
That formula one more time?
The formula is basically passive income divided by your monthly expenses. So PI divided by MI. And then you times that by 100, and that will give you percent. And so what I did is so imagine like when I was 23 years old, I got introduced to that formula, and then I just took action, right? There's going to be a lot of people that wouldn't take action. There's like, oh, this is too hard. And I made sacrifices that some people my age would have thought that I was crazy. I was making enough money at GM to live downtown, live on Rainy Street, and go out and have fun. And even though I did have fun and stuff, I decided to live below my means so that I could achieve what I want to achieve. And I have the mentality that life is a marathon and not a sprint. And one of the quotes that stuck with me was from a guy named Adam Carroll, who said, build a bigger life, not a bigger lifestyle. And when I heard that quote, it changed my life. And that is build a bigger life, not a bigger lifestyle. Because then I began to take actions in a different way, because now I'm not comparing myself with others on their lifestyle. Now I'm just looking at what I really want for my life and the definition that I give to what I really want in my life. So that is the last part. We just went through the path to financial independence, is scheduling personal development, mastering your personal finances, your tribe, goal setting, increasing your income, and investing. How much time do I have? 2 more hours. How much?
Up to 20 minutes.
I have 20 minutes? Cool, this is good. Perfect, so the challenge for you guys that I want to leave you with is to not settle for anything less than your best. Most of you guys are probably American, and you guys are also here in this country where you can achieve anything that you guys want to achieve. And that is a privilege that I haven't been able to have yet, but I've still been able to accomplish all of this by surrounding myself with like-minded people, taking action, and not letting the circumstances determine my future. Because there is a lot of opportunity out there, we just have to find the options and the opportunities and always be resourceful. And it's not easy, it's hard, it takes perseverance, dedication, and you have to be disciplined to your goals and what you really want. So when life gets hard, I've had different parts in my life where I could have easily said, you know what, this is not for me, this is too hard, why would I want to go to college when everybody's telling me that I can't, where people tell me I can't afford it, why are you doing all of this? But I always had that why. And there's a quote by one of my mentors named John Roman. He says, if the why has enough heart, the how will get legs. So you always find, if the why is strong enough, and for me, it's my mom and my dad and my brother. Because they gave everything in Peru so that they could come here so that we could have a better life. And by having that why, it always caused me to be more resourceful. When I was at FSU, at this point, I didn't know yet that I could have my LLC, but I was able to convince a nonprofit to create a scholarship for me so that that's how I could get paid while I was doing their websites and all that stuff. So instead of figuring out, or instead of saying, hey, you know what, like I can't do it, there's no way, always asking the questions. There's always a way. And if plan A doesn't work, there's always plan B. One of the other obstacles that I had, because I always had just enough, I didn't have money to pay for another class the next semester, so what I did is, there was a teacher, and the class had like 300 people, and I was like, okay, there has to be a way for me to find money to pay for my next class. And the teacher said, guys, there's 3 exams in this class. If you pass it, you'll get an A. If you know these 20 questions, you will get an A at the next exam. So I went home, I got the textbook, I read everything, I wrote down the answers to those 20 questions, and I got an A, and I set the curve. So I was that guy that, people were like, you set the curve, and all this other stuff. By the time the second one came around, the second test, he said the same thing. And I'm like, well, I set the curve, so then I got resourceful. And I sent an email to everybody in the class, and I'm like, hey guys, I was the one who set the curve, sorry. But I have the answers to the next exam. If you meet me here at this time, I'll give it to you for $5. So I made $300 at one time. And for the next exam, I charged $10 now. So instead of $5, I charged 10. And then I made another $200 or $300. And that's how I was able to pay for that class. Right, so it's always being like, there's always a way. There's